Hello all. Very nice to see you again. Sorry for my new surroundings. I'm currently not able to occupy my usual space, so we'll carry on anyway. We don't let these little things get in our way. So today, I think I'm going to be quite direct with this one. So I think it should be pretty short and sharp. So today's video is all about why you should sell to rich people rather than people who are not rich, which is most people. So I think when obviously you can think about it in terms of like, okay, yeah, personal training is a bit of a luxury service. Fantastic. Okay, cool. So already the demand for something like personal training is naturally going to target people who are wealthier, who've got disposable income. That being said, I'd also argue that specifically in-person sessions are much better for selling to rich people. Online coaching is better for selling to busy people, but in-person stuff is way better selling to rich people. So if you are going to sell to rich people, I would say sell in person, because you don't want to. You should be aligning the different bits of the puzzle together. That's really the goal here. You want to create something which is which makes sense from start to finish. So that's the first thing. I would prioritize in-person sessions if you're going to sell to rich people, because then what we sort of think about in terms of business, and this is a pretty fundamental thing within business, you can either sell very little to rich people, to a few people, or you can sell a lot to everyone. Now, the problem with that is that with selling a lot to everyone is that you require efficiencies, you require business practices that take a lot of time to set up. So best case example is Amazon. They managed to sell a lot of relatively cheap stuff to a lot of people, but they could only do that because of the mechanisms they have in place within their factories, within their facilities, the fact that they have so many distribution centers. And this isn't something that typically you can do just as you're getting started. It's not something you can typically do as a sole trader, which for many personal trainers they are. So that really leaves you with one opportunity, which is to sell to rich people. But the problem is that most personal trainers don't do this. Most personal trainers think, okay, right, I want to sell to people who can afford me. And the problem with that is then you end up in this quagmire in the middle, where you're effectively not really selling to people who are that committed. You're not selling to people who are who can afford to do this for a long period of time. And also, you as a coach, you don't really stand out. You just kind of, oh, now you're just another personal trainer. Versus using price sensitivity effectively. So we think about price sensitivity just in terms of like, okay, I'm walking down the supermarket and I can see two tins of tomatoes. One is more expensive than the other, and we just assume that, oh, if you're price sensitive, then you're going to go for the cheaper one. It doesn't quite work that way. It does work that way, but it's not the whole picture, because of course there's an insinuation that if the other one is more expensive, then it must be a better quality. It must mean it's going to taste better. It must mean it's come from a better region of Italy, for example, whatever it may be. But there are these biases in our mind that help us fill in the blanks of what our expectations are. And again, if you think, okay, I'm going to sell my sessions at I'm going to sell my in-person sessions to rich people at $1,000 an hour, then a rich person's going to assume that, shit, they must be good at what they're doing because they're so expensive. It's that reassuringly expensive feeling which you really want to be tapping into. And it works. This isn't just some fad. This is real business. You see this all the time. This is why you have luxury cars, for example. Luxury cars wouldn't exist. A car gets you from A to B. You can have a Rolls Royce or you can have a Ford. But they do the same thing in theory. But it's that reassuringly expensive element, which obviously, now the Rolls Royce is more expensive because it has better features, it has a better thing, which you as a coach probably will do than someone who's just kind of run of the mill anyway. But if you removed all of that to one side, so this is probably even a better example. There was an Aston Martin. There was a European law saying that sports car manufacturers had to have some kind of CO2 emission stuff. So what Aston Martin did is they did a partnership with Toyota, and they took a Toyota Aygo or a Toyota something or other, this small compact car, and what they did is they basically just took off the Toyota badges, popped an Aston Martin one, added some new leather and some cool vents on the front, and that was it. It was called the Aston Martin Signet. And there's just this insinuation straight away that, oh, it must be better than the other one because it's more expensive, because it's an Aston Martin, because of this, because of that. And these are all biases. These are all biases. You may be thinking, well, this is obvious, duh. I'm telling you, the obvious stuff doesn't get practiced half as much as it should do. The ABCs are the ABCs for a reason. And it's very easy to be a pessimist. You know, pessimism is intelligence dressed up as, oh, I don't actually understand, or I can't be bothered to implement this. It's the implementation of the ABCs every single time. So what to do? So firstly, look at other coaches in your practice, in your discipline, in your area, whether that's geography, whether that's your specific skill set, whatever it may be. I'll leave that to you. But charge 20% more, at least. Now, this is a scientific method. This isn't kind of just like, oh, I'm going to throw darts and see what hits. No, start off with 20%. And if you're getting booked, fantastic. But it means you need to charge more. So go from 20%, now charge an extra 30%. And do this to new clients. We'll talk about what to do with your current clients in another video. But effectively keep charging more until it gets so ridiculous that people are not quite sure whether or not you are just taking the biscuit, or whether or not this is actually something which feels like, yes, I'm investing into my health. You as a coach must be really good because you are so expensive. So you play this game. Now, if you're not getting as many bookings, what I would do is I don't start lowering your prices. What you need to do is you need to focus on the main conversion metrics, and the number one conversion metric is social proof. So go off and gather a bunch of social proof and show it off at every possible point. So work with a bunch of clients for free. You know, the clients that pay you don't need to know that the clients that you've got your social proof from didn't pay you. This is the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. The game is rigged for a reason, and you have the opportunity to rig it. So get that social proof, and then you'll start to see those new bookings come through. And then you can start to think, okay, am I getting really booked? Fantastic. So I'm going to take that price from 20% up to 30%, 40%, 50%. You can go crazy with this. You could charge $2,000 an hour, $5,000 an hour. I promise you, there will be people out there. There's plenty of them. You know, you spend 5 minutes walking around any of these major cities, Miami, London, New York, San Fran. There is rich people everywhere, and they like to spend money because it's a status game. They can say to their friends, "Oh yeah, I've got this new coach, $10,000 an hour, but he helps me work out. I feel so confident with him. He's got all this social proof." I can't imagine he's showing off your social proof to his social network. But anyway, you get the point. So that's it for this video. Sell to rich people. I've given you a little scientific method that you can use. And learn, iterate, get that social proof if required. But yeah, anyway, I'll leave it there. I'll see you soon. Bye.